This one's for
Welcome back, tribe. We covered this chick once before, but now she's speaking to men about the problem of going your own way. So women telling men about their problems. Gotta make that money. Let's get paid, sis. Come on.
the men who hate women.
Understand that the majority online are pushing an ideal that is far more extreme. There is a majority online that do promote hopelessness, that do promote looks as being the most important thing. And not just the most important thing, but the be-all and end-all.
The guys who have taken the black pill.
Jinko is part of an underground movement called Incel, which stands for Involuntary Celibate. Comprised mostly of men, incels resent women for not showing romantic interest in them. The feds say Jinko took his resentment to a dangerous level by plotting to, quote, slaughter women at a college in Ohio.
Participation in the black pill community is a source of both venting emotions and actually receiving negative emotions. And if you look at mental health communities on the internet, what we tend to find is that everyone there is talking about acceptance and validation, but no one knows how to process.
The black pill movement is a group of men who have
Pause. I thought we were talking about men going their own way. What does black pill incels have to do with this? That's something completely different.
left the dating market. They have deleted all dating apps. They are no longer asking women on dates, and they have no intention of ever getting married.
I don't think many men actually benefit from marriages or relationships anymore.
In fact, they strongly discourage any romantic feelings towards the opposite sex at all. I actually empathize with where radical feminism has rendered men as a whole. And in a quest to rightfully take back your masculinity, I'm worried that you've hitched your trailer on the back of a movement that is bound for self-destruction. And that is the Black Pill movement, or MGTOW. With
Oh my God, dude, get your terms correct. For the people watching and don't understand the difference, here, let me tell you, it's very easy. MGTOW started off by older men who were married, got divorced, their families in shambles, and decided it wasn't worth going out into the dating market. They already had kids, they were fully grown, post-divorce, they'd rather be alone. That is a man going their own way. Then it metastasized a bit as it gained steam. Then it was younger and younger men just choosing not to engage in the dating market because they saw no point, because eventually what they were actually interested in was marriage, eventually leading to kids. And then seeing from the older men that went their own way and the stories, the nightmares that they were sharing with the younger men, they chose to learn from their elders and went their own way as well. Black pill and incels is something completely different. Black pill is the nihilistic view on red pill ideology, which is essentially there's nothing you can do. All that matters is your looks. If you don't have a strong jawline, if you're not 6'5", there's no point in even trying. It's like the defeatist attitude of essentially red pill. As red pill would tell a man that you need to lift, you need to get money, you need to work on yourself, get charisma, go out on dates, learn to talk to women, cold approach. They teach you to go out, be sociable. They teach you to go out and find a brotherhood. They tell you about self-improvement, control in your own two hands, etc., etc., etc. Black pill completely brushed that aside and said, well, I'm 5'4", what chance do I got? Incels is another spawn of a group of men that feel that sex is owed to them, that they should get women, or that they're owed women in some fashion or another. Typically, they'll look back at my grandpappy back in his day, he had women lined up. They'll blame social media, they'll blame, hookup culture, they'll blame dating apps, they'll blame a lot of things. And a lot of it has half-truths baked in, which is causing their numbers to swell. But it misses the main mark of nobody owes you anything, and you have to work for everything you have in this life. And so these men, typically the bottom of the bottom, aka the invisible class. Those are what incels are, where no woman has ever looked their way. A lot of these guys, from what I've seen, I've been on those forums and have others joined my Discord server looking for help. Those men typically get into their own head and get in their own way most of the time. They're not disfigured in any way. They have a negative self-view and low self-esteem and give off an aura and energy that just repulses not only women from them, but men as well. Like they have no friends. They're basically isolated from all social contact. These are the most dangerous among all these groups. They're the ones that act out. They're typically the ones that perpetuate tragedies of the public kind. And It's very simple reasons for why they do what they do. Yet mainstream society still ignores them and doesn't want to get to the crux of the issue, which is it's a entire generation of soft, young, lonely boys that never had men in their lives or any struggle, any hardship. They live in the West typically, and because they lack a masculine identity due to the gynocracy that we live in, they've attached to these metastasized / radical ideals online that, quote, radicalize them into doing heinous acts. So that's where their hate comes from. But these are all very distinct, very different groups of people. And of course, a woman is not going to know the difference. So you already know how shit this video is going to be. Let's continue. I had to explain that for the people that don't know.
Stands for men going their own way. Just like women fall prey to the lies of feminism that have entrapped us for decades, lies about abortion, a career-first culture, birth control, men are just as capable of falling for detrimental lies in pursuit of doing the right thing.
So if I'm hurting about something, let's say I'm starting to take the black pill, and I feel those negative emotions, what I'll do is gravitate towards a community that validates my experience. And as I gravitate towards that community, I feel better. But then sometimes what can happen is the community itself can become toxic. As this starts to happen in a community, it actually worsens our mental health and distorts reality even more. We have a common phrase for this now, which is an echo chamber.
Every day, regular conservative men with good intentions are falling for the smoke and mirrors of black pillars who want you to...
Conservative men? What are you talking about? What? Okay, and what do liberal men fall for? Veganism and male feminism? What is going on here?
Believe that you're only a true conservative if you abstain from feelings, relationships, and sex with women. They fail to see the value in the very thing that true conservatives...
What the hell? I'm sorry, am I out of touch here? Since when did being a conservative just equate to everything she just listed? A real conservative doesn't talk to women. What the fuck are we, in the Catholic Church? Is everybody trying to be a fucking pope? What is going on here?
Conservatism supports family. I think that one of the reasons feminism was so appealing to women is not just because it offered answers to various plights women face, but because it validated and unified them.
The patriarchy.
They felt...
No, it didn't. You got sold a lie. The CIA was in on it. Literally, CIA spooks were pushing feminism in the early, 50s, 60s. Gloria Steinem literally worked for the CIA. She had one of the largest magazines at the time that was pushing feminist ideals. The CIA, the deep state.
Felt that they lived in a society rigged against them. And for first wave feminism, there was
social engineering.
Fortunately, today, men and women coexist in a society where they are legally equals. There are no exclusive rights for men that I do not have access to. Still, it's difficult to dispute that men aren't under attack. For one, women can freely hate men anywhere, in media, academia, entertainment.
Some of you are like, well, not all men. And of course, it's all men. Literally every single one of them. Hate them, hate them, hate them. Someone was like, what about your dad? Especially my dad.
I know it's popular right now for female creators and influencers to say that, men can function without women and that they're so much better. Obviously, I disagree with the feminist point of view that women are the better sex. But my hot take is, what if both of those are equally destructive because both genders need and depend on the other? To the conservative women watching this, I know you're familiar with the concept of taking a red pill. The black pill movement takes the idea of the red pill even further, where red pillars believe that they've been awakened to perception-altering truths about the world around them. Black pillars feel that they've had a similar awakening about women in relationships. They deeply resent how our culture and the social environment have become hostile to men. Let's talk about some of the valid grievances the black pill movement has. Take dating. They say that the Me Too and Believe All Women movements have made it extremely difficult for men to risk normal flirtation or dating without having to worry about having their lives ruined. Fair. The black pill movement paints a picture of dating in the modern world that is not so pleasant for men. Studies suggest that there are as many as 9 men for every 1 woman on dating apps. Research also finds that women are much more selective than men on online dating platforms, which might be why women have a success rate on Tinder of about 10%, while men have a success rate of only 0.6%. The black pill movement looks at events like Me Too as examples of how society treats men with a double standard and is quick to vilify them.
Ansari was accused of acting inappropriately on a date. The anonymous source characterized the encounter as sexual assault. Ansari released a statement saying in part, "I was surprised and concerned."
I don't know why she keeps painting this on black pill. This is just a concern all men have, from MRA groups to black pillars to people not aligned with anything, don't care about putting labels on themselves. We're just calling what we see in the media. I mean, it's a shocker to nobody. The legal system's unfair to men. Any man will tell you that. Not involved in any of these groups. It's weird how we're crafting this narrative to be against black pillars. I got nothing against the guys. I think they're in a period of doom and gloom, and a lot of them will come out of it eventually when they grow and mature a little bit and they start to take power into their own hands. They understand that they have a far more control than they realized over their destinies. But it's just cringy to see, man, women trying to talk about something they really have no idea. Like, the research done on this video is fucking terrible, I'll be honest. She did very little. It looks like ChatGPT shit just got strung here and there, pulled a few articles. Hey, write me a script and let's fucking go with it. Whoever's doing the research for her episodes needs to do some work. Holy shit.
Concerned. I took her words to heart and responded privately after taking the time to process what she had said. I continue to support the movement that is happening in our culture. It's necessary and long.
Aziz is a simp anyway.
As the phrase innocent until proven guilty suggests, our justice system is supposed to be one of presumed innocence. And this is important because 2 to 10% of sexual assault allegations are falsely reported. But Me Too was extrajudicial, encouraging society to believe all women, whether the evidence is on their side or not. The black pill movement is quick to highlight marriage rates. And it's true that marriage rates are falling. In 1970, the marriage rate in the US was over 76%. Now it's at an abysmal.
It's one of these videos we just like fire off statistics and not really get into the depth of what's happening. All right, dude. So in light of this, because this is fucking cringe to watch, it was only a matter of time before this space on the internet got mainstream enough with the dollar signs attached to it that women enter it and begin spouting off the shit they heard men say, except they will have a wider appeal and a bigger audience by default simply because they're women, and unfortunately for us, simps are a majority of men today. Pearl is a good example of this. It's not like she says anything groundbreaking. She reiterates points that men have been saying for 10 fucking years. Doesn't know really why men feel the way they do. Has a few conversations here and there, boom, just in the mainstream, just like that. Same shit with this woman. It's only going to take her a couple more years of doing this, if that, and she'll break out into the mainstream and get interviewed by God knows who about how groundbreaking her discoveries are and all this shit. And it's the same thing, man. The movement gets co-opted by the mainstream, turned to shit. Massive profit made on the backs of those suffering. Nothing will get done, and it'll all blow over until people move on to the next thing. It is what it is, dude. This has happened with every single movement everywhere. You can't even name one in the last 50 years where it didn't get co-opted when it was reaching the mainstream. Think about Occupy Wall Street, got co-opted, turned to shit. Think about the Tea Party, got co-opted, turned to shit. You name it, probably the very early days of BLM. The super early when the idea was just turning around, and then boom, got co-opted, turned to shit. I mean, like, you can't name anything. Is there a movement today that's maintained that like purity of message from the very beginning? I mean, shit, we see it happening with forums on the internet. Once like a subreddit gets too big, once a forum gets too popular, like the quality linearly decreases with the size of the population. It's wild, man. And the movement is the same. That's why if you look back at early red pill or early men's rights or early manosphere, male-centric creators or messages, you'll see that most of the guys in the early days lived through it, had direct experience, and then it moved into guys that had secondhand experience, and then it moved into guys that got no experience whatsoever, and they're just repeating that same shit. And then it went into now women have started getting on the train, repeating shit from guys that have never experienced it. And then it follows that, and the message, going up that ladder gets completely diluted, and you get a video like this, complete ass and the complete cluelessness. And men will be more lost than ever. The OGs or the original messages have already been buried. The only content that gets pushed to the top is the super radicalized, out of control shit like you see, like for the 15-second clip for shorts and reels off these podcasts where people are dunking on each other. And then that's it, dude. The value completely gone. It's disappeared. It's turned into entertainment. It's lost its worth. But, go off, queen. Let's see what the mainstream's eating up.
31%. And even if a man manages to get married under these circumstances, the Black Pill movement notes that he doesn't always have agency over whether or not his marriage lasts. After all, more than 2/3 of divorces are initiated by women. Black Pillars point out that family courts, particularly in the United States, but also in the Western world in general, grossly favor women over men, specifically in cases about divorce, child custody, and alimony. The evidence? Approximately 90% of child custody agreements in the US give preference to the mother. On average, in the US, the mother is granted 65% of custody time, while fathers get just 35%.
Wanted to just say while this plays, appreciate everybody who's gotten a shirt. Got mine out here in Dubai. Thank you for supporting the channel. Don't want to take on any corporate sponsors and have them, control the message in any way. So everybody that's gotten some gear, love you guys. Thank you. If you haven't, or if you've been thinking about it, it's legionofmen.store. Appreciate you. Let's continue.
As for alimony, in 1979, the Supreme Court found that alimony should be gender neutral. Gender neutral is not some weird box to check on a college application. It meant that alimony shouldn't be biased toward one sex or the other. So that's a good thing, right? In practice, no. Get this. As of 2010, 97% of all alimony and spousal support are paid to women. This is despite 40% of all US households being headed by female breadwinners. So men do get a bit screwed, if you ask me. So why even get married? That's exactly the point Black Pillars are trying to make. Outside of relationship dangers are other systemic double standards against men. Falling college enrollment and graduation rates, rising depression and suicide rates. It's a war on men out there. These issues are real.
Can you feel her feelings? She's feeling so hard for us, guys. I love it, dude. Women are really good at pulling the little emotional heartstrings, and Sims will buy it up. I can't wait to read the comments under the video. Let's see.
Real things that many conservatives, myself included, have observed and spoken about because they need to be addressed. I can agree with some of the movement's diagnoses, even if I don't agree with its prescriptions. But as with third wave feminism, the Black Pill movement goes so detrimentally wrong in its execution of changing society. This is when it is no longer rooted in conservatism and becomes more like incel behavior, which is very soy, not alpha. If you don't know, incels or involuntary celibates belong to an online subculture who define themselves by their inability to attract women, which, newsflash, isn't particularly attractive to women, making the whole thing kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
The thing I hate about incels is they always make it women's fault, right? And the lesson I get out of that, ladies, is really...
That's another weird thing to associate all of them with being violent or hating women. Not all of them are violent or hate women. Sure, there are some that voice their disdain for women or have been traumatized by women or are in their anger phase, of course, and it's perceived as dangerous because it's a man and it could be actionable. But a lot of them are just frustrated dudes that can't get laid and are looking for answers. I would assume. You think every single one of them violent by default? I mean, that's what does that say about what you think about men?
It is our fault, because we should have more weirdos in high school.
Their ideology developed in places like the dark web, 4chan, and subreddits. If you don't know what a subreddit is, imagine a full dirty diaper trash can inside of a dumpster inside of a landfill. It's as toxic for a woman to be there as it would be for a man. Sadly, incels paint with a very broad brush to present the following picture. Young, attractive women, they believe, only want to date and sleep with chads, aka attractive, fashionable frat boy types. The incels think the hot girl will finally come around when she's ready for marriage because they're smart. And
what is with this music?
But be wary, they tell them.
Watch
Even
out.
if she agrees to marry an incel for the financial benefits and stability, she'll deny you sex while continuing to sleep with chads on the side because you're ugly. I'm ugly. And when the marriage inevitably ends in divorce, those same women get to walk away with your children and your money. Traditionally, the incel response to this perceived paradigm has been to mope and be mean to women on the internet. In the tragic and extreme case of the 2014 Isla Vista killings, a young man dubbed the king of the incels, Elliot Rodger, killed 6 people and injured 14 others near UC Santa Barbara before killing himself.
Disturbing video. Roger called it a day of retribution. Here's the latest. Police say there are at least 10 crime scenes, 7 people dead, including Roger, son of a Hollywood director.
So this ideology can be...
Did nobody question the parents? Like, does son of Hollywood director sound like a cool way to grow up as a kid? I mean, God, imagine how woke and libby your parents could be in the heart of evil, Hollywood. Your dad is a Hollywood director. Bro, that kid, who knows the abuse he grew up under? Jesus Christ. Oh, wow.
It has been very dangerous. Its overlap with the Black Pill movement is not complete, but there are striking similarities, particularly in the way women in dating are framed. The primary difference is in how the Black Pill movement suggests men respond. Black pillars are told to go on the offensive, to use women before women can use them, or to just reject women entirely. Pickup artists adjacent to the Black Pill movement claim to teach men how to attract women, but the Black Pill movement equates romance to simping. So if a man wants to use a woman for sex, that's one thing. However, if he starts to fall in love, they tell him he should end the relationship. Men are also encouraged to get vasectomies so they can have sex without the worry about attachment or responsibility that comes with having a baby.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. You have no idea the physical toll the 3 vasectomies have on a person.
The Black Pill movement treats this as a restoration of the proper order of things, as men assuming dominance over submissive women, and even invokes the Bible's authority on the issue. Even weirder, they'll tell you having sex with women is gay.
To go from, I'm the red pill, I'm fighting the matrix, I'm a freedom fighter, to, who cares about that? I have these beautiful girlfriends. You sound gay. You know who else rolls around with girls and talks to them? Gay men.
That's why it's important that we understand what the Black Pill movement is, and just as importantly, isn't. Because it's not conservative.
Isn't that the dude's name Fuentes and he's a fucking Nazi sympathizer or something? With the last name Fuentes? Some shit like that. Somebody please correct me on that. Dude sympathizes with somebody or a group that would off him. Okay. This is the internet in the modern day.
And it's definitely not biblical. Collectivism and collective guilt in particular is a staple of left-wing thought. When the Black Pill movement treats all modern Western women the same, asserting that they all act in a certain manner, that's no different than when the left demonizes, let's say the unvaccinated. That's not what conservatives are about. Sure, some women, right or left, behave in the way the Black Pill movement describes, but not all. And I actually think I have a unique insight into that because my audience and following consists of over 80% women ages 25 to 35 who identify as conservative and Christian. And these women are married or they want to be. They believe in traditional values. They believe in a biblical submission to their husbands, and they don't believe that true masculinity is toxic. As conservatives, we know what it feels like to have institutions aligned against us, but we do not simply accept that we are victims. We do not make victimhood central to our identities. We look for ways to tackle or navigate around unfairness. We also don't accept defeat and we don't lose hope. And that is, at its core, what makes the Black Pill movement
almost done.
Unbiblical and
Thank God.
unchristian. The hopelessness.
We have an angry, hopeless, negative emotional black pillar who can't do anything in their life and is just in a state of doom and gloom because they're getting triggered so easily. It doesn't take much for all that emotion to overwhelm you. And the more that the emotion overwhelms you, the more you retreat into video games or distraction or whatever.
There is a bleakness and a futility to the Black Pill movement that cannot be justified in biblical terms. Studies repeatedly find that married men are happier and healthier. They live longer. Christian married men have better sex lives than non-Christian married men. Why aren't the Black Pillars bringing that up? And it's no surprise that's the case because marriage and family have lasted generation after generation.
Maybe because the divorce rate's over 50%. What are you talking about? 80% initiated by women. The men that report they're happy are the select few that made it. The rest have gotten wrecked. Unfortunately, the statistics bear that out. What? And you could say the studies say, we had a study that we did on the channel where it said men that aren't married are happier because they form longer lasting bonds with a wider friend group because they're not isolated by their families. The only difference is they earn a little bit lower because they don't have to slave away more at a job to support a family. That's what the study says. So are we going to go by the study says married men have more sex? Bro, you got to be shitting me. On what planet? The percentile of men, as men watching this, we know. You think a married man's sex life, on average, not saying all of them or none of them, on average compares to a bachelor who's doing well in life at 40? Shit, even into his 50s? All right, dude. You guys, this is the problem. Women have never been in a group of men of varying ages having conversations about how they feel about their marriages, really, in front of an audience, aka other men, where you really find out what's going on, what they're really feeling and thinking about their marriages, their relationships.
Even while other traditions have faded away for a reason, these traditions didn't manifest randomly. They developed because they are practical, because generations of our ancestors recognized their value. And also, God ordained men and women to enjoy each other in Him.
So if we're going to invoke the Bible, then what do you call the Jezebel spirit that's rampant today? I know you said your audience is mainly Christian, but practicing, are they virgins at marriage? You know what I mean? Like, if we're going to invoke the Bible and we're going to say that men need to be traditional and they benefit from traditional ideals, show us all the traditional women for all these lonely men, because they would gladly settle down with a woman that is in biblical terms. They don't answer that one, do they?
And that includes intimacy or romance. One of God's first commandments to Adam and Eve in Genesis 1:28 was be fruitful and multiply. When we talk about conservatism, it is precisely traditions like marriage and family that we fight to conserve. So a movement that calls for the abolition of marriage or vasectomies in service of promiscuity is absolutely not conservative. Don't fall for it. Look, I get that dating can be difficult in today's world, and I'm not about to say that I understand in detail what single men face.
Talk
men
about the laws.
feel like it's difficult to find quality women, and as I discussed in a previous video, women feel like it's difficult to find quality men too. This is America. You're free to choose to be a nihilist, but don't try to market it as any form of conservatism or especially Christianity.
Doesn't talk about the divorce rates, huh? And what happens to men afterwards. Child support, just touched on it little teeny bit, but doesn't emphasize just how much it can ruin a man. Like, for example, do you know that divorced men have the highest delete rate of all kinds of men? Married, single, etc. Doesn't talk about the risk of a divorce to a man's life. But okay, let's see the comments. I'm wondering. I don't blame women for my problems. I blame myself for ever making a woman my problem. Woman rejects relationships and pursues her own goals and happiness. Society, you're such an inspiration. Men rejects relationships and pursues his own goals and happiness. Society, how dare you? You hate women. Thank you, feminism, for setting men free. A woman talking about MGTOW is like a man talking about pregnancy. She obviously doesn't know about MGTOW or the black pill. They're two different things. There you go. I went MGTOW after my divorce. There you go. Getting married was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life. Thousands of dollars down the drain. I'll never get it back. I don't hate women. I just don't care anymore. Women, does my complete lack of accountability make my ass look big? What the hell? Don't forget, a lot of the millennial and Gen Z generations watch like 6 out of 10 of their parents. And every couple they know go through a divorce. And we're all like, no thanks, I'll pass. Who in their right mind wants to deal with that? The baby boomers set terrible examples for the next generations when it comes to divorce. Divorce, to me, was the main factor that started a lot of this. And I don't really blame women nowadays, but it's really the government that sits in between them, like a shadowy figure threatening men at all times. Yes, we have feminism to thank for a lot of that too, but also divorce rates, the welfare state, and just plain unfaithfulness and disloyalty. There you go. Being part of MGTOW and Black Pill are not the same thing. It's like how being a conservative doesn't make you a Republican. I'm not a fan of either, but it's important to distinguish the difference between them. Exactly. This whole video is just off base. You just can't get her definitions right. All right, well, thank you whoever recommended me this over on Discord. Lost a few brain cells. Well, I hope you guys gained some. We'll see you on the next one.